Hello friends, thank you for returning to my channel for one more weekly reflection. This week I'd like to go back to the lectionary again, and it's a gospel story. The story of Jesus in the Gospel Mark crossing over the turbulent waters of the Sea of Galilee, asleep in the front of the boat as his disciples desperately try to manage. It's the end of a long, long day. Jesus working with the people, preaching, teaching, healing. And he tells his disciples he needs to go across to the other side to get some time away. A valuable lesson just there for us if we wish to listen to it. The storm rolls up when Jesus is fallen asleep in the front of the boat, and the disciples, these fishermen that know these waters, desperately try to keep afloat. And finally, in desperation, they wake up Jesus and in their frustration say, don't you even care that we're all going to perish here? And Jesus turns to them and tells the water to be still, be at peace. And they are amazed. So what is in this story that we need to hear? I'm not going to invite you to be like Jesus and calm all the waters. Where I want to invite you is to be like the disciples. And in your desperation of trying to make your life work or struggle without whatever is your burden this day, to be honest with and cry out to Jesus, cry out to the Lord, cry out to God. Don't you even care if I perish? Can you wake up and pay attention? How often in our lives, on our spiritual journey, do we want to stomp our foot and cry out like a petulant little child to the parents, are you not paying attention to me? I'm hurting here. I need your attention. So that would be the first piece of spiritual wisdom for our journey I would like to offer you and give to you. Cry out. It's okay. If you're struggling, if it's a burden on you this day, you are allowed to cry out. Don't you even care if I perish? Don't you even care that I am struggling here? That the storms of life are coming over the edge of the boat and we're going to be swamped. Don't you even care? The words of Jesus comes then. And they are words in the midst of our peril, in the midst of our worries, in the midst of our struggles. Peace. Peace, and be still. And in this case, in the story, the storm is fixed. It's made calm. But really, it's those words of Christ, of the living, resurrected Christ speaking into your heart. Peace, be still. Now there is another piece to this story. The last thing you do at the end of a day beside a lake is go out on the waters, because as the sun sets and the air starts to cool, the warm breezes come off from the rising, the warm air rising on the warm ground draws the air off the lake, and you get these strong winds. You may have experienced it if you've been beside a lake. It happens at the Okanagan Lake all the time. During the summer, you get these strong evening breezes that rush across the land. So the water gets all stormy. And the disciples, these fishermen, they would have known that. So you can imagine as they got to the end of the day and Jesus said, let's go across the lake. They looked at each other and said, yeah, sure. Yeah, going for sure. And Jesus gets in and lies down. Because, and here's my point, because Jesus trusts his disciples to take care of him. Can you let Jesus, can you let the Divine One, the Holy One, can you let God trust you? Can you trust yourself to know what's the right thing to do? They could have said, Jesus, we should wait an hour, then we'll leave. maybe, I don't know if it was, I don't think it was meant to be, and I'm not even sure this is what the gospel writer meant to teach, but it's a story that comes out of it, is this idea that it's a test. To see if we're willing to examine our lives and examine our decisions, to make the best choices as we move forward. After the fact, when you're in the middle of the storm, it's time to cry out to God. But then afterwards, it's time, after you're past the storm, to examine your life and to see what decisions you could have made differently. See what advice you could have given to God, how you could have negotiated a different journey. Imagine that. Taking time to negotiate where God calls you to, because you bring wisdom. And by expressing your wisdom, you learn more and you move forward. And then, if you make a decision and move into the storm, you won't turn in despair and say, don't you care if we perish or not? It's more like you will say, I made this decision and I am strong enough to get through it. So, it comes back to strength. Or as Jesus says to the disciples, faith. That you have enough faith in your own journey, in your own decision, in the presence of God in your life, that you can get through these storms, to the other side, through the offshore winds, across the lake, to the other side, where the next part of your journey awaits. Friends, beloved siblings, the blessing of God be with you. And in the midst of your storms, in the midst of your struggles, know this, you're not alone. Even if the divine Spirit just sleeps beside you, you are not alone. Peace be with you. Be still and know that God is there. Amen.